Hello, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen, Rav Shmuel, with the Devar Torah for Teitzei, Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 10 to chapter 25, verse 19, for August 29th, 2020. This is for the year 5780. So this week's Torah portion, again, is Teitzei, which is one of the portions that has the most commandments, 74 according to one count, in it, like Kedoshim in Leviticus. Teitzei starts off discussing a soldier's lust during war. As the Israelite army is successful, a soldier may see a captive woman, quote, of goodly form, end quote, and desire her. He is then to allow her to cut off her hair and nails, and thus minimize her beauty and give her 30 days to mourn for her family. If he still then desires her after that period of time, he can marry her and make her his wife, and she is his wife in all manner. Should a man have more than one wife, not allowed currently rabbinically, the firstborn son receives his double portion, even if his mother is the less favored wife. The Torah then discusses the wayward son, who is described as misbehaved and a glutton and drunkard. If he disobeys and disrespects his parents repeatedly, he is brought before the council of elders for judgment. If he does not relent, he receives capital punishment. And the sages state that this is a warning, and this extreme sentence was never carried out. A man who is executed is buried after the sentence is carried. His body is not to remain in place for any length of time. Now, chapter 22 opens up discussing lost property. If someone sees a stray animal, they are to return it immediately to the rightful owner, even if the two have a contentious relationship. Similarly, if a man sees his fellow struggling with an animal bearing cargo, he is to help him. We then have a list of seemingly miscellaneous laws. Men and women shall not wear each other's clothes. Show sympathy to a bird by chasing the mother away so she doesn't see you take any of her eggs. Put parapets, which are small barriers, on the roof of your house to prevent someone from falling. Do not sow your vineyard with two different types of seeds, kilaya. Do not yoke an ox and an ass together. Do not mix wool and cotton together, which is also known as shatnez. Put seed on the corners of your garments. Verses 13 to 21 discuss the accusations and remediation of a bride whose husband suspects her of not having been a virgin when married. The parents will bring a garment with evidence. The marriage is then considered complete, and he cannot divorce her. When two people consort who are both married to other people within the confines of a city, their act is presumed to be consensual, and the sentence is capital punishment for both of them. This is because the woman could have cried out for help, and someone would have heard her and probably come to her rescue. However, if a man rapes a woman outside of the city in a sparse area, he receives capital punishment because there would have been no one to rescue the woman. Chapter 23 starts out prohibiting marriage with a stepmother when the father dies. There are specific people who are excluded from the congregation of Israel. People with crushed or maimed private parts, children of adulterous or incestuous, which are forbidden marriages, Ammonite or Moabite, they wouldn't sell supplies to the Israelites and tried to seduce them from their religion. However, they should respect an Edomite, which is a descendant of Esau, who is their brother, and the third generation born of Egyptians can be part of the congregation. In war, the camp of the soldiers needs to be clean and sanitary and obey the laws that mandate those conditions. Israel is to be a sanctuary state for slaves escaping from harsh conditions. Israelites are not to sell themselves for sex. Don't lend money for interest to your fellow who is in need, but you can do so with foreigners as part of a business arrangement. You are not obligated to make a vow, but if you do, it is imperative that you fulfill it. A traveler may stop at someone's farm and eat some of their produce, but not take some for later. Chapter 24 discusses divorce. A man may divorce his wife who no longer finds favor in his eyes. These conditions, however, are left vague. She can remarry another man, but if that marriage ends, she cannot remarry the first husband who divorced her. A newly married man is excused from military service for the first year. No man can take a man's millstone, his livelihood for grinding grain, as a pledge. A man kidnapping and selling someone as a slave receives capital punishment. Behave morally so you don't get skin blotches. Do not trespass to take a pledge from someone who borrowed from you. Stand outside and ask for it. Workmen are to be treated with respect and not abused. People are punished for their own sins, not for a parent or child. Produce that is forgotten to be harvested is left for the poor. Chapter 25 discusses fair punishment. If the sentence is lashes, no more than 39 or the maximum amount someone can tolerate, whichever is less. Don't muzzle a working animal. Let them eat some of the grain as they get hungry from their effort. If a man dies childless, his brother is to have offspring with the widow who will raise as the late man's heir. If the brother refuses this obligation, he is shamed. The weights for measuring goods need to be consistent and not more or less to gain advantage. Finally, this portion ends with the commandment to remember how Amalek attacked the weak members of the train of Israelites and should be obliterated.